بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما على مهدي هذه الأمة وطاووس أهل الجنة الحجة بن الحسن العسكري أرواحنا فداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. قال مولانا إمام علي بن الحسين زين العابدين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه: السلام عليك يا أمين الله في أرضه وحجته على عباده. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. Dear brothers and sisters, I would like to first of all welcome all those who are watching in the different parts of the world with an experience that for most of us, if not all of us, is the one in the lifetime experience of Shahr Ramadan. And even though we have been made to sit in our homes and spend Shahr Ramadan in reflection in our household or our households, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed all of us to benefit spiritually with this holy month. Alhamdulillah, I was also blessed to be a part of this khidmah and service of the brothers and sisters in this holy month. And as has been advertised and as has been mentioned, the theme of some of our discussions in these nights that we have is one of the most authentic, most important ziyarat and supplications that we have, known as Ziyarat Aminullah. And Ziyarat Aminullah, because of its importance, because of what it contains in ma'arif and knowledge and many akhlaqi points put into one ziyarah, because of all of these things, we've decided to look at the ziyarah from the beginning. This ziyarah, before we go into analyzing the first statement of this ziyarah, many questions arise about Ziyarat Aminullah in the first place. Many of you, when you have visited Amir al-Mu'minin Salamullah alayhi Najif al-Ashraf, have definitely entered into the shrine and recited Ziyarat Aminullah of Amir al-Mu'minin Salamullah alayhi. But before we can look at some of the issues that arise and that we need to look at as a muqaddimah, an introduction, before we look at the actual lines of the ziyarah, someone may ask a question, which is, why do we need to discuss and analyze a ziyarah of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam? Most people, number one, supplications they recite, they don't analyze. And number two, people often ask the question, why should we talk about a topic like this? Why should we analyze a ziyarah of Amir al-Mu'minin and what was mentioned in that ziyarah, when instead we could have issues to do with me practicing my life in the West? Some may say that this is more important for a person to speak about, or issues of practically, for example, improving my prayer, how to live family life in the correct way, upbringing of children, education, university. Someone could say that there are so many other issues which are more important than looking at the analysis of a ziyarah that is recited as a supplication. And if this question was posed, there are a number of answers that can be given. For example, the first reason why a person should study and analyze a ziyarah like Ziyarat Aminullah, and this was the practice of the ulama. The ulama, for example, in many of their muhadarat, in their lectures in Shahr Ramadan, other times, would take a ziyarah like Ziyarat Jami'ah, Ziyarat Ashura, Ziyarat Aminullah, and other supplications, Dua Kumail Mathalan, and analyze the ma'arif of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that were found within. If someone was to ask, why study these supplications and ziyarat, and what's the point when لعله على الظاهر there are more important things to be discussed? الجواب على ذلك, the response to that question, number one, is that when a person, for example, sees that they have a lack in the practical side of Islam, most people, they ask a question, teach us something to improve ourselves practically, give me something practical that I can improve my salah, I can get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a practical way. When a person has issues in the practical side of Islam, often they forget something very important. They look for the answer somewhere else, and the answer is often in the opposite direction. I try to get improve the practical aspect of my Islam, my religion and my faith, and I want something that can easily be done so I can then become the best of mu'min, the best of mu'mineen. In reality, religion is made up of more than just practice. Religion is made up of iman and faith and belief and ma'rifah and cognizance on one side and practice on the other. And both of these need to come together for a person to be classified as a mu'min. And so one of the reasons why, for example, I don't find my faith to be where it should be, where I don't find my children to be practicing as much as they should, where I find myself being further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than I wish to be, often it's because the ma'rifah side, the iman side, the faith isn't as strong as it should be, because these two things, they come together. And therefore, one thing that we find has increases for example, the quality of my salah, that which allows me to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that which at the end of the day improves my state as a mu'min, is to increase the cognizance I have of these 14 infallibles ma'soomeen, as well as increasing my faith and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his religion. And so often I don't understand. People have an issue with their children at school. This is happening, and in my salah, this is happening, and in my life, this is happening. All of these things, if I were to look, for example, at the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen, kama yanbaghi, in the way that a person should study the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen, if I was to look at a hadith of Ahlul Bayt in the way that they should have been studied and analyzed, all of my problems would have gone. And I would see myself being one of the best of mu'mineen. And so these ziyarat, these riwayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, open my eyes to different aspects of ma'rifah and iman and faith and belief, and in turn allow me to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when the ma'rifah is greater, the practice is going to be stronger. When the faith is of a higher level, the amal is also of a higher level. That's why I remember hearing one of the ulama, he's from Najaf al-Ashraf, he spoke about how it was the holidays of Shahr Ramadan. In the house, as we know, there's a few months holidays that take place, normally Shahr Ramadan. The houses and seminaries are closed. This alim, he was one of the students of Ayatollah al-Udhma Sayyid Abdul A'la al-Sabzawari, rahmatullah alayh. He said, we went to Sayyid Abdul A'la al-Sabzawari, and we said, Sayyidina, we have a holiday for a few months. The house is closed. Of course, we want to increase our knowledge day by day. We want to use this time that we have, sa'atul faragh, the spare time that we have. We want to use it in the best way possible. So what should we do? So Sayyid Abdul A'la al-Sabzawari, now of course his advice was advice to ulama, to scholars. That isn't advice for everyone, but there's something within that will help us. He said to his students, he gave them advice. He said, read as much of the book Bihar al-Anwar of Allamatul Majlisi that you can during this holiday. In fact, he said, read it from beginning to end. And here behind me, you can see is the book Bihar al-Anwar of Allamatul Majlisi of many volumes. He said, when he said, read the work of Allamatul Majlisi, Bihar, he said, because this will give you two things. Number one, it will teach you aqeedah. It will teach you your beliefs. How many people today listen to lectures, attend programs in Shahr Ramadan, in Muharram, but the aqeedah is weak. The aqeedah isn't as strong as it should be. He said, number one, read this to strengthen your aqeedah, number one. And number two, he said, when a person reads the kalam of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, like Ziyarat Aminullah, when a person reads the kalam of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, even though they may not understand everything, he says that a bab min abwab al-ma'rifah automatically opens in that person's heart. Just by hearing the kalam of Imam al-Sadiq, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Sajjad, salamullahi alayhim, a door of ma'rifah opens in my qalb and in my heart. And so the more ma'rifah you have, as I said, the better you're going to be, the better you'll be able to live your life, for example, in the West. The problems you have are sorted, are solved by increasing your faith and ma'rifah, having more cognizance of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam and their teachings. This is the first reason why a person should study a ziyarah like Ziyarat Aminullah. As for the second reason that comes to mind as to why we need to be looking at a ziyarah like this is because if you look at normal ziyarat, they have a certain style, as we've seen. They directly address the Imam, the infallible, and then they say, for example, I bear witness that you established prayer, I bear witness that you acted on the Quran, I bear witness, and so on and so forth. And within there's also some words of supplication and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the ziyarah. Ziyarat Aminullah, if you will look through it, you notice that it has more of the dua side than just the ziyarah side. Both are very important, but here it has the ziyarah where it refers to Amir al-Mu'mineen and speaks about Amir al-Mu'mineen, and then suddenly it goes into a dua. And there are 13 things that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam asks from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the grave of Amir al-Mu'mineen whilst doing this ziyarah. And those 13 things, without doubt, bila shakkin wala rayb, are those things that take a person closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this ziyarah contains many secrets of ma'rifah, of akhlaq and spirituality. And inshallah will be something of benefit for us to understand, to be able to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this holy month. When it comes to then issues of this ziyarah, normally the question that people ask, and this in itself has become almost an illness that people have, is that today it's very easy for someone to come and say, this hadith is weak. This narration isn't authentic. It became something very easy. I don't like a certain thing that a certain book says of hadith. Very quickly I say, this isn't authentic. This must be da'if. This person didn't accept the riwayah. That person didn't accept the chain of narrators. Often today people have this habit. Everything I see, if I don't like it or there's something I have a doubt about, I say it's a weak riwayah. Ulama, we understand, even if they didn't agree with the sanad and the chain of narrators of a riwayah, would still refer to it with a lot of respect. Because it could be that I think that this riwayah, mathalan, may not be from the ma'soom, but how do I know? Therefore, if I spoke about the riwayah in a negative way, and then on the day of Qiyamah, I realized this was actually something said by Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. So here people often, they ask whenever they want to speak about a ziyarah or anything, they said, what's the authenticity of this? Is it authentic? People often have this in their minds. And without going into the discussion of authenticity and the practice that the ulama had, because the ulama have practice of muwadhaba ala ziyarat. Ulama, maraji have practice of constantly reciting these ziyarat, such as Aminullah, such as Ashura and others. However, very quickly, we understand that we have the statements of two of the greatest muhaddithin in regards to ziyarat Aminullah. The first of them being Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi. Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi mentions that this is a riwayah which is fi nihayat al-i'tibar. It is of the most authentic of narrations and ziyarat. And he said that it is mentioned in all books of ziyarat and supplication. In addition to what Sheikh Abbas Qummi has said, Allamatul Majlisi says that this is one of, if not the best riwayah. He says, Ahsanu, this is exactly what he said, Ahsanu ziyarat matnan wa sanadan. In regards to the text, it's of the best riwayat. And in the regards to its chain of narrators, it was also of the best. When it then comes to us looking at the background of this ziyarah, we understand that 5 a'imma alayhim salatu wassalam have narrated ziyarat Aminullah, telling us that not only would they recite it themselves, but they would emphasize on their companions and followers to recite ziyarat Aminullah. But as we know, this ziyarah originally comes from Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari, according to one report, and according to the chain of narrators that is mentioned in the book Kamil al-Ziyarat. In Kamil al-Ziyarat, it is mentioned from Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, to Imam Sajjad and others. One of those riwayat is from Jabir. Jabir narrates, and he says that Imam Baqir alayhi salam would say that after Karbala, my father, Sayyid al-Sajjad alayhi salam, didn't live in Medina itself. Rather, he decided to keep his house on the outskirts of Madinatul Munawwara. Why? Because after the tragedy that has taken place, what took place in Karbala, he didn't want to be too close to people and mix with people too much. He was still adhering to his role at the Imam, but his house was outside of Medina. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam said on many occasions we would leave and there would be no person with us. The only thing that would be with us would be naqatayn, illa naqatayn, except for 2 camels would be with us. And we would leave from our house and go towards the city of Najaf al-Ashraf. And he says that no one would know where we're going. No one is aware because we're outside of the city that we have even left. And he said we would go and we'd reach a place by the name of Najaf, where my father then would stand and he would cry so much that the riwayah said, حَتَّى خَذَلَّتْ لَحْيَتُهُ بِدُمُوئِهِ, until his beard is covered by his tears. Ajib. Until his beard is covered by his tears, and he would recite the ziyarah known as Ziyarat Aminullah. And so Ziyarat Aminullah was the ziyarah given to us by Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam in these trips. And we're told that after then he would visit his grandfather Amir al-Mu'mineen, he would then go and visit Sayyid al-Shuhada in Karbala. Also, what we understand about this ziyarat is this ziyarah was classified as one of the ziyaratul jami'at, meaning we have certain ziyarat that are specific to certain individuals. Ziyarah Ashura, مثلا, ziyaratul waritha, are specific to Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. Certain ziyarat, however, are classified as ziyaratul jami'at, those ziyarat that can be recited for any imam at any shrine. And so when you go to any of the holy shrines today, you will realize that often in the books of supplication, they have a ziyaratul jami'ah. That ziyaratul jami'ah can be recited here, can be recited somewhere else as well. Of those ziyaratul jami'at, which is not specific just to Amir al-Mu'mineen, is ziyarat Aminullah. So ziyarat Aminullah, yes, was initially a ziyarah for Amir al-Mu'mineen, but according to the riwayat, I could also recite this ziyarah in the Sayyid al-Shuhada, I could recite it in Mashhad al-Muqaddas, I could recite it for any other imam. However, when I would recite it with any other imam, I would remove one line, as we'll see when we get to that discussion, which is Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. As we know, inshallah, the bahath will come of what this laqab Amir al-Mu'mineen actually means. But as we know, the title of Amir al-Mu'mineen was one specific to Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam. And so if I recite this ziyarah for any other imam, yajuz, is allowed, wa yuthab ala qira'atiha, and you will be inshallah rewarded greatly for the reciting this ziyarah. However, you remove the line, Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. And so this was one of the ziyaratul jami'at, where we notice that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, when he starts by addressing Abul Hasan salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, we need to stop and understand first what exactly he said and why. Because as we know, sometimes we can have one thing when it is analyzed from a different perspective, the name that you use to describe it changes. And this in actual fact solves a lot of issues that we find in riwayat. So we can have one thing, one reality, but when I look at it from different perspectives, it's classified and called in different ways. It's very simple. Today, for example, I have one person, when I look at him in relation to his mother, he would be classified as son. When I look at him in relation to his children, he's now classified as father. When I look at him in relation to his students, he's teacher. When I look at him in relation to his teacher, he's a student. So one person, but when idafat, how you look at him and the perspective changes, the name and the title of that person also will change. And so, for example, we have a group of riwayat that say, one of them says the first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created was al-qalam. The first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever created was the pen, the metaphorical pen from which he, let's say, brought about free will, or some say the pen that wrote the Sharia, whatever this is. But the riwayah says the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created was al-qalam. Another riwayah says the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created was al-aql, the intellect. A third says the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created was Nur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, was the light of the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So So some people ask the question, how can all three things be the first thing to have been created? What was created first then? Was it the light of the Prophet of Islam that was created first? Was it aql that was created first? Was it the qalam that was created first? The answer is all of them are the same thing. When you change your perspective of how you look at that light of the Prophet of Islam, the name changes. So when you look at Nur of the Prophet of Islam as that which is the perfect intellect, you call it aql. And when you look at the light of the Prophet of Islam as that which is the source of our Sharia, you call it qalam. So one thing, perspective changes, the name is the same. Likewise, when we come to look at personalities, sometimes we use different names for personalities based on their relationships. The example that I gave, sometimes I call this person father, I can also call him son, I can also call him cousin. The name, the title changes, how I address them changes due to their relationships. Sometimes I will address someone due to their qualities, sifat. And sometimes I address that same person, but due to their status and position. And this now will help us understand ziyarat. Because certain ziyarat, when I recite the ziyarah of certain a'imma, I recite them speaking about the relationship of that person. I say, for example, Ya ibn Rasulillah, Ya warith Adam safwatillah, Ya warith مثلا Nuh Nabiyillah, Ya ibn Fatimat al-Zahra, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim ajma'in. Sometimes ziyarat, they address someone based on that first group, relations. Sometimes ziyarat, address Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam in that second group of qualities, sifat. It says, for example, Ya Nur Allah, O light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And certain are of the third type, which is like Ziyarat Aminullah. Ziyarat Aminullah is of the third type in the sense that it addresses Amirul Mu'mineen based on his role and the position he was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that's how you automatically notice a difference between Ziyarat Aminullah and, for example, Ziyaratul Waritha or Ziyarat Ashura. Because some look at that person, the infallible, in regards to his qualities and in regards to his relationships. Sometimes it looks at them in regards to the status and role and position they were given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is why the ziyarah says, ثم قال, from the book Kamil al-Ziyarat, in the qabr Amir al-Mu'mineen, وقف على القبر. Imam Sajjad stands at the qabr and he says, فبكى. He cried, ثم قال. Then he said, السلام عليك يا أمين الله في أرضه. And even if you don't understand what Aminullah is and you don't listen to any of what I'm about to say, still when you hear the statement, Assalamu alayki ya Aminullah fi ardeh, definitely something enters into a person's heart. Even if they don't understand what Aminullah even is, what Aminullah is even referring to. When he says, Assalamu alayki ya Aminullah fi ardeh, the first thing we understand is that Amin comes from the word Amana. And amana, as we know, is something we use a lot in different languages. Refers to when I'm given something. A person came up to me, for example, they gave me their phone. They said, I'm going somewhere. This is your amana, something that I entrust in your hands for you to keep. And when I return, for example, after 2 or 3 days or after 1 hour, you give that thing back to me. So that which is entrusted to a person and he is meant to keep, save, and return or protect, that object is called amana, and the person who has been entrusted this amana is called Amin. So I went to someone, for example, I gave them something, I gave them some money, I said, can you keep this for me? That person is classified as Amin. And that's why one of the meanings of the word Amin is also trustworthy. Why? Because both of these things go hand in hand. I'll only give someone my money to keep when that person is trustworthy. So amana literally is that which is entrusted. Because the person who is given that amana is normally trustworthy, we call him Amin. Amin refers to the person given amana, and Amin also refers to someone who is trustworthy, which is why we are told that one of the titles of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that he was Sadiq and Amin. And so when we have this laqab and this title of Amirul Mu'mineen, you are the Amin of Allah. You are the one who was entrusted something by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are the trustworthy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you something as amana, something to keep safe. And so the question comes, what is this amana? What has he been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep safe? And what was he in charge of controlling and taking care of? Here, before we can enter into that discussion, we realize that amana, that which is entrusted to keep safe and safekeeping, is of two types. We have that which is amana ma'nawiyya and that which is amana maddiyya. What's the difference between these two? Amana ma'nawiyya is, amana maddiyya is amana which is physical. Someone came and gave me cash. Keep this cash with you. This is an amana. Someone gave me their car keys. Amana. Someone gave me a book. Happens a lot, for example. Someone gives you a book. This is amana. You give it to them afterwards. A physical amana maddi. Sometimes, however, an amana cannot be physical. Can be something which doesn't have a physical reality. Like what? When someone tells me one of their secrets. This is an amana that I have to protect. I can't give it to others in the way that I can't give that phone or that money to others. That secret I keep. Ilm and knowledge is an amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when I have learned something, it is an amana that I have, that I make sure I give it to the right people. Likewise, al-mustashar ameen. When I ask someone for advice, that person is ameen. He has an amana in his hands. He has to fulfill this amana correctly. And so we understood that sometimes amana is physical, sometimes amana is something which isn't physical. In relation to Amirul Mu'mineen, اختلفت آراء وأقوال العلماء. The opinions of ulama differed as to what was meant by this amana and what was meant by him being Amin. For example, some said Aminullah refers to when he was given the lantern of Tawheed to protect and preserve its flame. That's why he was called Aminullah, the one who was entrusted Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give to others. And by the way, certain things, the time is going quicker than I expected. Normally in a majlis you have people sitting with you. Time goes very quickly anyway. But here I thought maybe because it's me and a screen, maybe time won't go that quickly, but mashallah, it's gone very quickly. Something, so I can't mention everything, but just something for you to ponder on. Sometimes I have something which is of a lot of worth. If a thing isn't of a lot of worth, I don't make it an amana. If I have something that isn't expensive and I don't care about it, I'm not going to tell someone, keep this safe while I'm not here. Only that which is very worthy and valuable is made an amana, number one. And number two, sometimes it may be something valuable, but others don't understand its value, and so they're not likely to take it away. Sometimes something may be valuable, but people don't realize its value. They're not going to take it away. So I wouldn't make it an amana. An amana is made, number one, when that thing is valuable, and number two, when it's likely to be taken away or destroyed or stolen. The first interpretation was that Amir al-Mu'mineen is Ameen of Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the first. The second some ulama came and said, no, the amana that was given to him and how he was Ameen was physical, and it was referring to the Baytul Mal and the money that was given in his hands whilst he was Imam, and when he was made a Khalif, al-Zahiri, Khilafatul Zahiriyya, when he was made a Khalif of the Muslimin. Likewise, he had money in his possession. And so when we said Aminullah, we were referring to the fact that he had money of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, money that belonged to the people, and he was trustworthy, and he gave the haqq to those people that deserved it. And right enough, if you look at the second meaning of Aminullah, you find so many examples in the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen. In fact, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Amir al-Mu'mineen the best of all creation after Rasulullah for two reasons. Why was he given wilaya, imama, such a great status? Hubbuka imanun wa bughduka kufrun wa nifaq. Why? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says two reasons. Number one, because he had sidq. When he would speak the truth. Number 2, وَأَدَاؤُهُ لِلْأَمَانَةِ. And he would always return back the amanat of people. Whether it was the amanah that Allah gave him of tawheed, or whether it was this physical amanah of wealth and money and possessions of other individuals. For example, we're told, لعله riwayah is from, mentioned that Qambar says that in one occasion, my master, Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, is distributing the Baytul Mal. And as he's distributing it, people are coming, he's controlling them, he gives everyone their haqq and right and due. And suddenly then, according to some reports, as soon as he's finished, some say he places his head in sajda, as soon as he's distributed the money. Or no, he stands up and he recites a 2-unit prayer. Now, of course, companions like Qambar, they want to know, what is this prayer? Is this something mustahab? Is something I can learn from? Something that we can also implement? So he asks, he says, Yabna Abi Talib, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, what was this sajda that you did, this prostration? What was this 2-unit prayer? Amir al-Mu'mineen said that wherever a person places his head on prostration on this earth, whichever place a person places his head in prostration on this earth, that place will bear witness on the day of Qiyamah that this person did sajda on me. He says, I did sajda here so that this place bear witnesses on the day of Qiyamah that when Amir al-Mu'mineen distributed the Baytul Mal of Muslimin, he did it with haqq, and he was trustworthy and ameen. And he gave everyone's due and haqq to them and didn't do dhulm with anyone. He said, that's why I placed my head in sajda, so that this ardh can bear witness on the aman of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ulama also mentioned another example of understanding how Amir al-Mu'mineen is Aminullah. We have an individual who was the katib, the scribe of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He was also like the accountant who would work in many of the governmental positions as an accountant, taking care of the money, writing down details. His name was Ali bin Abi Rafi. Ali bin Abi Rafi was well known. So on one occasion, one of the daughters of Amir al-Mu'mineen Sallallahu Alayhi comes to me, and it was the days of Eid al-Adha. And she asked to borrow a necklace that was belonging to the Baytul Mal al-Muslimin. This necklace belongs to the Baytul Mal al-Muslimin. She asked to borrow it. And she says that as a collateral, just in case something happens to her, as a deposit, rahan, she's going to leave a certain amount of money. Just to make sure that just in case something happens, it's stolen, whatever, that money is there for Baytul Mal al-Muslimin. So once he's asked by her, she's going to leave the money there. She's one of the daughters. She wasn't infallible. One of the daughters of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. This person, Ibn Abi Rafi, he comes, he gives her the necklace, she goes. On that same day, Amir al-Mu'mineen sees his daughter wearing this necklace. Straight away, he realizes, he goes to Ali bin Abi Rafi. And straight away, he says, are you trying to enter me into the hellfire? He says, what do you mean, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen? He says, that necklace that you gave to my daughter, on what basis did you give it to my daughter? He said, no, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I didn't just give it to her like that. I didn't just give her something from Baytul Mal al-Muslimin for free. She borrowed it, she's going to return it in 3 days, and she gave money that just in case something happens to it, she's unable to bring it back. She's left money there just in case something happens. He says, still, don't enter into my house in Akhirah, don't enter fire into that house of mine. And so he goes to his daughter and he says, Ya bint Ali bin Abi Talib, oh my daughter, don't go away from the haqq and that which is the truth. And then he would say, have you seen the other women? Have you seen the other women from our family? They don't have any necklaces, any jewelry on the day of Eid al-Adha. They have nothing. Look at, for example, Zainab Salamullah alayha. Even though this was something that necessarily wasn't haram, because she left money, she had asked permission, she's borrowing it. But because it was Baytul Mal al-Muslimin, Ali bin Abi Talib then says to her, he says that if you hadn't left that money there with Ali bin Abi Rafi, as a collateral, just in case something took place, then I would have punished you with the Shar'i punishment like I punished anyone else. Whatever the punishment would have been, I would have implemented that like I implement for anyone else. Amir al-Mu'mineen is في الواقع في الحقيقة the Aminullah على أرض. So therefore, some said Aminullah was referring to Tawheed. Others said Aminullah was referring to the physical amana that he was given. And the third opinion was that Aminullah, this amana, was imamah. And here we understand that this title of Amir al-Mu'mineen isn't one that was specific just to him, this position, this role. Because we have other ziyarat, other riwayat, which speak about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi being Aminullah ala wahya mathalan. Or other Aimma alayhi wasalam also being Amin. And therefore we understood that this position that was given to him wasn't specific just to him. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam then says something very interesting. And to do ta'ammul on these riwayat, again, will open a lot of abwab of ilm for us, for me and you and all of us, inshallah. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says, Aminullah fi ardeh. Why did he say fi ardeh? Oh, the Amin of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. Someone could say, wouldn't it have been better if he said Aminullah fi ardihi wa sama'eh? He's the Amin of Allah on this earth and the Amin of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the heavens. As we have many riwayat muta'addidah that say that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was the Imam on this earth, was Imam in Akhirah for people, was Imam for human beings and ghair human beings. So why then did Imam Sajjad alayhi salam in the first line of this ziyarah make it specific to Aminullah fi ardeh, the Amin of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth? And the answer comes by looking at what we said Amin actually is. Because when we said, number one, if you say Amin is Tawheed, i.e. he was given that lantern of Tawheed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve and to ensure that it's not extinguished by anyone else. Tawheed is required where? Where do we need to spread the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? On this earth. In the Akhirah, people already know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. People are shown the haqq. فَكَشَفْنَا أَنْكَ غِطَاءَكَ فَبَصَرُكَ الْيَوْمَ حَدِيدٌ. The veils are lifted. I realize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. So because Amana was referring to Amana to Tawheed, Amana to Tawheed is on this earth. Or because Amana was referring to the wealth of Baytul Mal that took place on this earth. And we'll soon see, therefore, how Imam Sajjad alayhi salam starts by saying Aminullah fi ardeh. Then he says وَحُجَّتَهُ عَلَىٰ عِبَادِهِ. Why did he say ibad? Then he comes to Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. These were three different stages of the position of Amir al-Mu'mineen in his life. This Amana and this Amin, we don't see an Amin like Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam. We don't see someone as trustworthy with the Amana of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Abu al-Hasan alayhi salam. And here there is a nukta, there is a point that it's important for us to be attentive towards. The more expensive or valuable the amana is, the more worried I become. Someone gives me, for example, £20 and says, this is an amana, I'll pick it from you, for example, 2 days later, 3 weeks later. I'm not that worried. Yes, I keep it in a certain place, I keep it in my pocket, I write it down. However, the worst thing that happens is I lose it. Or I give him a £20 from somewhere else and I give it to him. When the amana isn't that valuable, I'm not that worried about it. But when the amana is very valuable, for example, if the amana was thousands of pounds, people lose sleep. I'm given amana by someone. What if someone takes it? What if I lose it? Yes, in Sharia, if I have lost it without any shortcomings of my own, I'm not responsible. If someone stole it from me, for example, I was attacked, there wasn't any shortcomings on my part, I'm not responsible. However, we understood about amana, and this is a key point to understand this statement. The more valuable the amana is, the more that person becomes restless, the more that person becomes worried, the more effort and energy that person puts to ensure that that amana is safe and given to its owner or the rightful people. This is then how, from this statement, Ya Ameen Allah fi arde, that we can understand the whole life of Amir al-Mu'mineen, from the beginning to the end of his life as Ameen Allah. Because when you hear and you read, for example, he would act in such a way. When he would go to Salah, his face would be in such a state. When you see all of these details of the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen, you understand why. Because the amana he was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the most valuable of amana. Was the amana of guidance and tawheed and divine imamah. And as I said, when amana is something valuable, you put more effort and energy to protect it. You're worried that you wish to protect this amana. Till his last moments, and I could give examples, but our time is finished. Till his last moments, Amir al-Mu'mineen Sallallahu Alaihi tries his hardest to present this amana of tawheed to the people. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these holy nights of Shahr Ramadan to remove the bala and the illness that we have seen spread across this world. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the barakah of Ziyarat Aminullah, for we're told that after recitation of Ziyarat Aminullah, especially du'as and prayers are answered, to hasten the reappearance of Sahibul Asri wal Zaman, and to allow us to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his Ahlul Bayt. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.